This is the Canon R50V, and I am here in Hawaii with Canon.
And me, oops!
And Irene, and I'm gonna give you a first look impression as we walk around and vlog with this camera for the day. So let's switch to it. Did that transition work?
I think so.
All the footage in this video was captured with the Canon R50V. The main lens that I used was the RFS 14 to 30mm STM power zoom, which is also new and can zoom electronically, kind of like an old school handy cam. Now I also used the camera with my 70 to 200 for some tighter shots, and even got to attach it to a car-mounted gimbal rig, courtesy of Zach Noyle. Zach is a Canon explorer of light who helped organize our adventure day at Kualoa Ranch, which is located on the eastern shores of Honolulu. The ranch might look a bit familiar, and that's because it's been used in over 200 movies, including Jurassic Park, Kong, and Pearl Harbor. But before we visit some of the more iconic locations at the ranch and dive deeper into the Canon R50V, we need to back up to the beginning of the day, which started with a 5 a.m. wake-up call on this party bus and a boat ride over to Secret Island Beach.
So because you're probably wondering, I'm also on the 14 to 30, which is a new kind of like power zoom that Canon made that pairs with this camera. You can actually control the zoom from the lens or from the rocker on the body. Did you know that, Irene? Hold on, let's get you in here. Where's everyone? We're just talking about the new camera and the power zoom function on it.
The power zoom?
Yeah, the little rocker. How you can just like rock it.
I've never used a lens like this, where the zoom...
It's a first for Canon. You've got the V1 right there, right?
I have the V1. What is that lens that you're using?
It's a little bit bigger.
Yeah, it's hitting different.
It's hitting a little bit different, but it is the 14 to 30. So it's small, but not as small as this guy, which we've actually got one of those too, so maybe you'll see a little bit more of that later.
While we were in Hawaii, Canon also announced the PowerShot V1. They loaned me one to try, and I'll be covering that camera in a separate upcoming video where I compare it to my Canon R5, so stay tuned for that. But the PowerShot V1 and the R50V actually have a lot in common. They use the same processor, have the same autofocus functionality, which actually matches what we currently have in higher-end full-frame cameras like the Canon R6 Mark II. The V1 is what I would consider to be a vlog-friendly camera for those who want a powerful camera for photo and for video, but don't necessarily want to change out their lens and want an experience that's similar to the older Canon G7X, just without the flash. This was my first time ever in Hawaii, and I have to say I was definitely spoiled. Growing up, most of my summers were spent at home or working a job to save up enough money for school. I've never really been a big traveler or gone on elaborate vacations, so I am super thankful that photography, content creation, and you watching all these videos has opened up opportunities like these for me to see new parts of the world. Honolulu and the ranch are magical, and getting to see fire dancers perform while hanging out with Canon and a bunch of cool creators will be a hard experience to top. Normally, I just hang out with other photographers or videographers, but this event gave me an excuse to meet a bunch of new creators, influencers, athletes, and even some of the Canon Japan development team who was very interested in hearing our opinion of the R50V and PowerShot V1 and what types of features we'd like to see in future cameras. I actually got to sit down with them over dinner one night and shared a bunch of my thoughts and concerns and feature requests, and of course mentioned that it would be really nice to have access to third-party lenses.
Interesting placement for a washroom, I will say. Probably top 3 scenic washrooms that I've ever had the pleasure of washrooming in. So 2 features of the R50V that I think are really cool and that video shooters will appreciate. The first is that we actually have a 1/4 20 tripod mounting plate on the side. So you can put one on the bottom like you would regularly with any of the mirrorless cameras. And then with this V series, now they've introduced that. So if you actually want to record vertically, you can just mount it straight to a tripod. Now the other thing, and I do this all the time because with my R6 Mark II at home, it's set up and designated as my social media, like TikTok, Instagram camera for Reels. But now you actually have a front recording button. So instead of having to like reach around the back of the camera, you can just kind of push the button that's on the front, which I think is actually cool, not just for tripod mounting, but also because you can kind of just like hold the camera vertically and then like hit that button with your thumb instead of like trying to hit the record button that's down at the bottom. So it's not just like an R50, it's kind of an R50 plus with more video features and more thought into the design for we'll say photographers, but I do think this is primarily for videographers interested in vlogging and shooting video with the Canon camera.
Arriving at the ranch really felt like we were driving into Jurassic Park, but instead of dinosaurs, we had chickens. Some of the roads were pretty bumpy, which was an interesting test of the image stabilization for the R50V, because the camera itself doesn't actually have any, or at least it doesn't have IBIS, it has digital image stabilization, which can be hit or miss depending on what you're filming.
So as you're looking at this beautiful side, hey nani nui oi. Everybody say whoa! Whoa! Everybody say ow! Ow! Now let's put it together, guys. Wow! Ooh, ow.
You'll notice in some of these clips where the truck is bouncing around a lot that the digital image stabilization tends to smear some of the pixels, depending on your frame rate and your shutter speed. So while the frame itself is stable, it almost looks like the image is vibrating. Digital image stabilization also applies a slight crop, which can make it less useful when vlogging at a wide angle focal length. So throughout the day, I found myself turning it off and then on and then back off again, depending on what I was filming. You might look at the R50V and want to complain that, oh, it doesn't have IBIS, but neither do most of the other cameras at this price point. The R50, the R10, the R8, or even cameras like the Fujifilm X-M5 don't have in-body image stabilization. In most cases, you need to double your budget and step up to something like the Canon R7 in order to get access to IBIS or in-body image stabilization. Now, I personally didn't find the lack of IBIS an issue, and that's because the 14 to 30 millimeter lens that I was using has lens stabilization. So my recommendation, if you're considering this camera, make sure you use it with a lens that has IS in the name or has IS printed on the front of the lens. But if you're interested in a more in-depth look at how digital IS performs on Canon cameras, I'll link a video at the end of this one that shows a comparison between Canon, Fuji, and Lumix.
Oh, look at us. Well, hold on, we got some smudges, look at that.
Uh-oh.
Do we look good?
We look great.
On the R50V?
On the R50V.
What do you got the R50V too? Oh, look at that. But do we try the sushi is the question.
Absolutely.
I think we got to try it.
You might find this hard to believe, but until a year ago, I hated sushi. Anytime I've been offered sushi in the past, it was in the form of sushi rolls, which I'm not a huge fan of. But last year I went to Japan for the first time and tried sashimi, which I think finally changed my mind.
Which ones do we go for?
Yeah, right?
The left side?
Put chili on and everything then, no?
Yeah, I'm gonna get one.
Get in there then.
Looks like I'm slicing the other ones, huh?
Go, Jay, go.
I need another one.
Me too.
The R50V is the first camera in a new line of V-series cameras from Canon. The way Canon explained it is that the V-series sits somewhere between EOS and Cinema and borrows features from both. Now, I'm assuming V is for video since this new lineup is intended for video creators and vloggers who don't necessarily need a viewfinder and want more video-centric features like log color profiles and easily accessible time-lapse and slow-motion video. There is a caveat with this camera. It shoots full 4K 10-bit video compared to the R50, which only had 8-bit. The R50V does do 120 frames in HD and 60 frames per second in 4K if you want to slow down your video, but 4K 60 does apply a crop, so keep that in mind when choosing your lens and focal length. So I actually forgot to mention one of the cool new features with the Canon R50V, which is that you can customize the zoom functionality. So I mentioned that the new lens has a zoom ring on it that controls the optical zoom electronically. But the body also has another dial right next to the record button that, depending on how far you pull it, so it's kind of like a two-stage button. If you pull it a little bit, it will zoom slow, and if you pull it a lot, it will zoom fast. But you can actually customize that speed and have the dial that's on the body zoom at a different speed than the ring that's on the lens. Now, another thing is that the user interface on this camera also rotates when you're going from horizontal to vertical, and the Q menu has been redesigned, which makes it a little bit more intuitive and a little bit faster and a little bit better if you are someone who switches between those two orientations. And this is something that just happens naturally every time a new product comes out. We get those little updates and those little features that make it faster for us to record, to edit, and to be more efficient as content creators. And one of the ways that I like to be more efficient and faster as a content creator is that I will actually plan out these videos in advance. So either there's like a shot list, or there's like a certain script, or if it's a photo shoot, there's like a mood board that I'll go onto Google Images and get some photos, or go onto Pinterest to get an idea of what the end result is gonna be. But sometimes it's a little hard to find the exact image of what I have in my head. So I've actually started using a new tool from Artlist, which is the sponsor of today's video, because they now have AI image and video generation, which I know sounds a little bit scary, but I wanna tell you how I've used it in a way that helps me be better as a photographer and as a content creator. So you can go onto Artlist, type in a prompt, and if you're maybe like stuck for words or for adjectives, you can go in and hit enhance, and it will kind of embellish your prompt so that you get a better outcome. So then you can go in and you can select a style. Now you can do photorealism, you can kind of do like a Minecraft blocky type video or photo. But the one that I noticed they have is a hand sketched view, which if you're someone who likes to storyboard your videos and maybe you're not the best at drawing, or maybe you're just not time efficient, you can go in, give it a prompt, you know, maybe I want to do like a dinosaur emerging from a dense forest and there's a man in the foreground with a Jeep who's getting chased, whatever it is that you want to input. Or if you want to take it one step further, and let's say you like the photo that you've produced, Artlist now lets you take that photo and animate it or turn it into a video clip. So let's say you have a big creative vision, whether it's a photo shoot or a video shoot, and you want to sell it to your client, but you obviously haven't recorded or filmed anything yet, so you need to show them some visuals of what that's gonna look like. And you know, maybe it would just be boring hand drawings. Well, now you can elevate all of that pre-production work. So with great power comes great responsibility, because we are not using these AI tools to replace the photo and the video work that we're doing, but we are using it to augment, to make us better, more productive, to help us generate concepts that live alongside all the photo and the video work that we already have planned. So if you want to try that out, you can find my exclusive link down in the description for 2 months free off of an annual plan to try everything that Artlist has to offer. So big thanks to Artlist for sponsoring this video and continuing to be a supporter of this channel and everything that I do.
So we just got finished filming with the R50V attached to a Hummer, which was super cool. It had a tilt-to-arm and a Ronin DJI gimbal attached, but I think that's a good use case for a camera like this, where it's small, it's light, you can mount it to things. Now obviously the gimbal could hold more weight than what we had it attached to. Now most of the day I've been filming on the new 14 to 30. Right now I'm actually on my 15 to 35 just to get a little bit more of the landscape so I can show you what's going on. But I think this form factor is really interesting, and I was able to talk to some of the Canon Japan Inc. people, and I said, hey look, I love this, but I would love this in maybe like a full frame Canon R52 variant. It doesn't have a viewfinder, which I know is going to immediately kill the camera for some people, but you have the original R50, which has a viewfinder. And I think for a lot of serious video shooters, they're probably going to attach a monitor to this anyway, so maybe like a viewfinder isn't what you need. Or on the other end of like who this camera is for, you just have a casual, vlog type stuff that I'm doing today, where you have, oh, we're getting called over for a group shot. Talk about more on the camera in a little bit. Gotta go get this group shot. I took my hat off in preparation for more fun mounting this camera. Check this out. Got some Manfrotto arms. Our taxi for the afternoon. Let's check out what these guys have over here. What's mounted in here? Oh, we got some Yolanzi cups, or yeah, look at this.
Look at me, I'm an influencer.
You're just jealous. You're just jealous.
Jealous of what?
You wish you could mount your camera. Where's your R50V, Jared?
It's in my bag.
I'm so used to the physical rocker.
Oh yeah, see? Why don't you have the why don't you have the thing and use the remote?
I used that earlier when we were on the Hummer.
Oh, you got a Hummer while you were here?
Yeah. Did you not ride the Hummer?
No, I didn't get one.
Yeah. Well, they didn't let me keep it, unfortunately. Irene, are you feeling okay there? You got enough coverage?
I have a head of a child, okay? It's the size of a small child.
I think you got a little gap right there.
Wait, let me see what it looks like with the helmet.
Yeah, maybe the helmet will fix it. Irene looks like a 14-year-old who was recruited to World War II, and they threw on the helmet, and it was so big on her. They're like, ma'am, you don't need to be here right now.
If I fall, it's like, is it gonna
tighten
actually...
the back. You gotta crank the back.
Where?
This bit.
Oh my god.
Look to your right. Look, no, that's your left.
That's the right.
That's
that's my left. Nothing is happening. It's on.
Tighten the chin strap.
This is it, I think.
Oh no.
Oh my god.
I think this is it. Is it working or not?
Yeah,
Oh no. No, it's smashed.
Oh my god.
Hey, honestly, who put that thing? Who mounted that thing 7 feet? Right.
So the mount was way off to the side of the car, and we drove through a gate.
Oh god.
And it got smoked.
But tell them what we were trying to do is see how good the vertical mount was. It's good.
The vertical mount is still threaded, and just like a little bit of rubber is pulled up. No issue. You can put that back.
Oh, right.
But it's like the Manfrotto arm that it was attached to. God, somewhere down the hill. Sorry, Canon.
Oh, this whole thing broke over here. Look.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Right here. See it?
I'm sorry. I forgot it was over there. It's like out of my
To be fair,
we all do right now. We all do.
Sure, the footage is on here.
Oh, sick!
Oh,
Yo, give me that
wait,
memory
we
card
can-
quick. We got the technical team back here trying to determine the status.
Check it. You want the card to see?
You guys don't have to see this.
Yeah, I know.
No, we're showing how good the new mount is. The
mount stayed strong. It didn't break the thread.
We broke the Manfrotto arm, but not the camera. It's funny because earlier when we were looking at the UTVs and which one to take, I was like, this one's sick. It's got the big arm on it. And yeah, it turns out the big arm
Got in the way.
couldn't go through the cow gate.
Unfortunately, we weren't able to recover the POV footage from the broken camera, and thankfully this was just a pre-production model which had to go back to Canon anyway. And that's pretty typical at these events. All the cameras that you get to test end up going back to the brand, which is hard because this is the first camera from Canon in a while that's different enough that I can actually see myself using one regularly. Now all we need is a full frame version.
So I don't know if I mentioned this, but the resort that we're visiting had a lot of movies filmed here. And Jurassic Park was one of the big ones. So they've got a lot of props and bunkers, and check this out.
If you're still confused whether or not the R50V is the right camera for you, or maybe you're asking, what was Canon thinking making a camera without a viewfinder? My recommendation to you is to make the decision based on whether or not you need a viewfinder and whether photo or video is your priority. For some, the original Canon R50 makes a lot of sense, but for others, the updated video features, smaller form factor, and vertical shooting options in the R50V make it the better choice.
So this entire video, except for this view and the intro view, were filmed on the Canon R50V, which, you know, says a lot to what this little camera can do. But what are the drawbacks with this camera? Because I've seen a lot of you comment on the reel I posted on the day this launched, asking, you know, is this an FX30? Is this an FX3? Is this a Sony ZV-E comparable? And the nice thing I'll say is yes, kind of, but it's also a little bit different. It always gets busy and loud as soon as you start talking. But the advantage that Canon has is the price point. $649 or 650 US dollars for basically what is a video-centric Canon R50. And if you get it with the new lens that has the zoom rocker built in, I believe it is, I'll put the number on the screen now because I can't exactly remember. But of course, there'll be links to all that down in the description for you to check out. The drawbacks with this camera are that it is only a single memory card slot, but that's kind of expected at any camera that's in this price point. It doesn't have C-Log 2, which is something I actually mentioned to the Canon Japan team that was here. I said, you know, I would love to be able to match my color profiles across all cameras. It does have C-Log 3, which is a very capable profile, which is actually what I've used, I'd say probably in like 99% of my videos. All my short form, I still film on the Canon R6, which shoots in C-Log 3. It would be nice to have C-Log 2, but maybe in a future camera? I did also mention to the Canon Inc. team, hey, you know, it'd be nice to have a full frame version of this camera, maybe with like the R6 Mark II sensor, or maybe even the R5 Mark II sensor. I know there are a lot of people who would like to see an FX3 style camera. This is not this. This is in a different category. This is very much with the price point and the feature set, and even the lens that they're pairing it with the kit kind of is an indicator as to who this is for. The big differentiator is that this does have 4K 60, which the other cameras in this price point don't necessarily do, and it's 10-bit video, which is huge for editing and, again, shooting in that log color profile and giving you that flexibility for editing and color grading later. Did I also mention that this is the first Canon camera to have the digital level stay on after you hit record? So with the Canon R52 that I'm recording on now, as soon as you hit record, the level goes away. So I think this really does speak to the fact that they're aware that video shooters want to have that control so they know whether or not their footage is level. Oh, and this camera does have a new mode on the mode dial, SNF, which is, I'm assuming stands for slow and fast. It's a time-lapse / slow-mo dedicated knob. On the R5 Mark II that I'm recording this on now, it's a little bit tricky to get into time-lapse, especially if you're switching from a log color profile to a non-log color profile. So this mode dial, this mode option on the mode dial, this option on the mode dial does make that process easier. But keep in mind, this is just a first look impressions of this camera. If you want to see more with this camera and the PowerShot V1, which I also have sitting in my bag back in the hotel room, let me know down in the comments below. I might be doing some photo shoot stuff with that in a future video. Until the next one, You can check out this video or this video if you want to see more. And above all, grab your camera, get out, and go shoot photos.